Okay, I know it's been a bit of time since I've uploaded another video, like maybe half a year or more. I don't really remember, but anyway, besides the point, I'm here, so you're welcome. Today, I'm gonna shake things up a bit with this time lapse. I'm gonna have some narration, not through all of it, but a bit of narration to explain what I'm doing. And there's some things I want to mention in regards to this project that I think is important to know. Okay, so here's the start of the time lapse, and you might be wondering, why am I making a traffic light? Why aren't I making Parliment first? Well, that's because I already made Parliment, and I'm pretty sad about that. Basically, when I started making Parliment, I didn't really think it would go far, so I didn't record it, and that mentality kept up. The longer I went through Parliament, I was like, like, I've already made it this far, so why bother recording it? And then that happened until I literally finished the entire model and I got to the street, and I'm like, okay, maybe I should start time lapsing this. So this is where we begin, at the traffic lights. The traffic lights, I mean, they're pretty simple. There wasn't too much difficulty with creating them. The traffic light wasn't that hard either. I used a really simple, just like sphere, icosphere setup, and rendered that, composited it in GIMP, and then used that as the emission mask for the traffic light to make it look right. And the back is just a bunch of extra stuff, added the cables as Bezier curves. I modeled this pole in relation to the actual pole that will be standing here. I also added, as you can see, some extra textures onto the pole to make it look a bit more real, shake things up a bit. Here I'm doing a mutated version of the traffic light. Really no biggie. The traffic lights themselves are pretty low detail, like they're just a quick traffic light. Didn't really require much effort. This spotlight is kind of really pissed me off, I guess, because I didn't have a good enough reference. I could barely see the top of that spotlight on any image that I saw. I don't know if I just suck at looking for images, but I couldn't find a good image at all. So I referenced it from like a super small resolution. And later, when I went to Parliament and I took some photos for references of like the street scene and how everything goes, it just wasn't correct, and that kind of pissed me off. But I mean, you'll never be able to tell. It doesn't matter. They're so high up. They're so far away. They're never in shot really, that close up. Anyway, so I'm just adding more things to the poles. Adding the security camera. I added the little metal ties that go around that hold up those poles. Just like the detail, I'd say the secret to realism is detail. Detail is super important when it comes to realism. And a skill that a lot of artists would need to obtain. It just comes with time. It's just how much detail you need for different objects in a scene. So for this traffic light thing, I'm adding a decent amount of detail, and I know that I'll need this much detail because it'll pay off when I have it close to the camera in some shots. So that's why I'm using more time to create this, and I'm putting more effort into it. A lot of creating stuff in 3D, especially with scenes this big, is about time efficiency. You don't want to waste your time adding detail to something that's going to be way in the background. That's a waste of fucking time, and honestly, just don't do it. Anyway, here I'm making the pedestrian thing, basically the same vibe as the traffic light. Yeah, it's pretty calm. Nothing too interesting though. Okay, and here I'm doing another traffic light pole with like a plastic top. Adding traffic lights to that, hooking up the wires. Yep, and the pedestrian light. This is all from a reference image. I created Parliament from a reference image. Funny thing actually, I originally was planning on making Parliament from the blueprints, and all of the blueprints of Parliament are from like the 1800s or whatever. Super fucking old. Oh, here I'm making the road, by the way. The road was one of the most annoying things in a way because I didn't really have any good reference for it. I had to completely just vibe the fuck out of it and like rationalize it and like just use my big brain to fucking be like, this is optimal. And then I changed the size a bit, you know, to make it look right, but it was pretty annoying because there was no proper bird's eye views of Parliament for some stupid reason. So anyway, there I am. As you can see, I also modeled all the stone shit on the path. But anyway, here I'm doing this weird bird shit thing that you can see on Parliament. It's a pretty noticeable detail. That's why I added it, because it just, again, the detail adds to the realism. The more detail, the more realistic something looks. It's pretty simple. I mean, there's more parts to realism, but that's pretty much the basic part to it. Here I'm doing the tram tracks, which is a different texture to the road. And this was my original idea. I was gonna just add like an extra cube on top, and I used the circle to do the turn and stuff. But later on, I go ahead and scrap that idea. I put a mask on it. So I render the tram object and the asphalt alone, and then I use that massive thing as a mask, and then I overlay that over the asphalt. So that mask is actually the asphalt combining the two materials. It's pretty cool, and it works a lot better because there's nothing sticking out, because in real life it doesn't stick out like that, and it makes it look really fake. Anyway, here I'm making the tram tracks. I used Bezier curves to draw the curve around that corner, and then I converted them to objects and just fucking extruded them, increased the height, stuff like that. Here I'm texturing the first one to make sure it looks good before I do the rest. These are pretty basic shapes, so I just did it on repeat. You may be asking, why didn't I just scale it up? Well, that has so many problems, and if you're asking that, you're dumb. So don't ask that. Come on. Anyway, I'm doing the straight ones. Yeah, it's pretty calm. Anyway, I'll come back when it is. Oh, yeah. Ah, fuck. I gotta edit all this shit. This is gonna be so drag. 17 minutes, bro. I'm gonna be spending days doing this shit. Okay, here I'm adding the starts for all the wires, and I'm looking at photos that I took of Parliament. This is after I've taken the photos now, of each pole and where these cables connect to, pretty much. And I'm just putting them roughly where I think they are. And this is going to be very important for pulling out the wires, because the main problem with these wires is it's really hard to know what goes where. It's hard to keep track of them. At the end of this scene, I added over 80 wires to the scene, and it became kind of a mess. And if you don't understand it, if you don't take the time to actually like understand it and like see it in your head, then it's pretty confusing. Yeah, anyway, here I'm trying to animate the curve of the train, and I may be really good at Blender and all aspects of Blender, but there are two things in Blender that I cannot do for the life of me. Kind of three things, but I'm not that bad. The first one is geometry nodes. That shit's new. I never learned that shit. I never needed to learn that shit. Haven't yet. I haven't, so I just haven't learned geometry nodes. The second thing is animating. I fucking suck at animating. I hate animating. I find animating boring and painful. And lastly, sculpting. Most people that are good at sculpting are good at drawing, and I'm really shit at drawing. I'm all like, I can sculpt, right? I've made some pretty impressive things. I've sculpted a pretty decent hand. I've sculpted a praying mantis. I've done a few pretty impressive sculpts, to be honest. But nothing anywhere near a level that I would say is as high as some of the other things that I am capable of in Blender. Anyway, so here I'm just sussing the tram, trying to animate it. You could tell I spent a bunch of time trying to suss the bone method. In the end, though, I end up just using a curve and then making the tram follow the curve. Now I'm just adding around the poles, building up the scene. You know how it is. You know how it is. Doing some sussing of the materials, fixing all of that up. I'm making a bin. This was a waste of my time. I didn't include it in the scene in the end. It's like out of frame, and I don't know. It's kind of just a waste of my time. I just saw it and I was like, oh yeah, I'll add a bin. But yeah, in the end, I didn't use it. But yeah, I mean, that's what you really need to make a bin, just a texture, maybe a bit of detail. Here I'm doing the tram stuff. This one was took a bit of adjusting and polishing in terms of the size and the size of the textures and the height, all of that. Even these railings that I'm modeling right now, I had to refine a bit, move around a bit, so that took a bit of time, but it's important, this part, because it's very close to the foreground. So I made this one look a bit more realistic. I could have made it better though, but at the end of this whole thing, like, if I had a better PC, I 100% would have made this better, but I don't, and my PC absolutely died after I made the lamps, because I made them super high, like I made them as super high quality models, fairly high resolution, probably over 1 million vertices per lamp. They're not meant to be for optimized games. They're meant to be good looking fucking lamps, you know what I mean? And I added over 10 of them to Parliment, and it just lagged the fuck out of my scene. On top of all of the other vertices, the entire scene came to over 30 million vertices in the scene, and that just really fucked up my laptop. So everything I do now, if I went to go on Parliment right now on the project, my laptop would lag and it would suck. So I can't even add these adjustments, these extra polishes, once the scene's complete, because my laptop is so bad, and it kind of sucks. I want to get a PC pretty bad, and I hope I can. Just gotta get more money, you know. Anyway, this is pretty cool. There's this weird no smoking sign on the asphalt near where the first shot of the animation is going to take place. So I took a top-down view of that when I was at Parliment, and I just added that onto the tram thing, overlaid it with the asphalt texture so it blended in, and yeah, it just adds a bit of detail, adds a bit of realism, accuracy. Here I'm doing the road lines, and I decided on doing Bezier curves, adding a small amount of depth and extruding them a lot. Both the curves are two objects, the yellow curves and the white curves. I duplicated them all in edit mode, so they're all one object. And I did that because it kind of made it a lot faster to add the lines. There's a lot of lines I need to add, and it just made it more important. More easy, more smooth, more efficient. Here I'm adding the islands, some extra little detail, a little sign, some stuff to the traffic lights, making them more accurate. Adding another sign, adding another little traffic light. It's pretty calm. Here I'm adding the bikes. This one was a bit annoying, I guess. I just had to get a bike image and then combine it. I had to adjust the amount of green on them because it's meant to be a bit faded, but not too faded. It took a bit of adjusting, but I came to something that I liked after a bit. Now, there's something pretty important that I should mention as well. This video is not going to show me creating the lamps for Parliment. And that is because the lamps alone took me about shit. I was working on them for a bit over 10 hours, and they belong in their own video, which I will post later as a clickbait title, like AI versus human in 3D modeling, because I got an AI to create the lamps from a reference image, just to help me make the lamps, I guess. It didn't really help me though. AI is not really that good. If you were to put my model side by side with the AI's, it would make the AI cry and explode. So that makes me happy, but it also makes me sad that AI is starting to make 3D models, because I like my skill and I don't want to be completely outclassed by an AI in something like this, because that means I won't be the best anymore. AI will be the best, and AI is super accessible, which makes everyone else the best. And all of a sudden, I'm not the best at Blender. What's the fucking point of doing Blender if I'm not the best? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, here I'm doing all the wires now. It's a very tedious process. All these very thin Bezier curves that I need to like attach together exactly. I was using a lot of move to 3D cursor type shit with that. Um, with the basically though, with when adding the wires, there's kind of two layers of wires. There's the top layers, which kind of transport the electricity and also provide support for the lower wires, and the lower wires are the tram wires, the ones that the trams get power from. So that's the two layers, and here you can see some tensioners that I just quickly modeled. And then after that, I model a device that holds the wire. You can see it on the tram tracks out at Spring Street as well. Here I'm modeling it now. I had to do a few little adjustments, but yeah, this is the thing where the top wires hold the bottom tram wire. As you can see, added it to the scene, did a few adjustments because there were some things that were fucked up, but that's it. So yeah, the wires just had those tensioner models and these models as detail, and they also had another thing, which is this hazard tape, I guess. But you'll see me add that later. Here I'm just adding all the wire, the holder things, the arms, and it takes a minute. Like, it takes a minute to align everything properly, and it's pretty annoying. Here you can see me making the caution tape thing, and this is stuff like this, right? Stuff like this is super important for realism. You don't realize until it's been added. It's something you can't realize until it's been added, but once it's been added, it just adds so much to a scene. Like, those little things just, they make a scene look a lot better. And that's kind of just like a big part of realism. This thing was kind of a waste of time, like, not terribly, but kind of. It's not really seen that well. It's pretty dark. You can't really see all this detail that I'm adding right now. But, you know, it's fine. If I ever want to use a fence now, I have a fence, I guess. But yeah, this was just quickly modeled using a shitty reference image. I couldn't really see what was going on properly, so I just did whatever the vibe was, and this is what I made pretty much. It's decent. It works, you know. Add some changes, and that's the side fence. Now I'm making the trees for the background. The thing I'm using right now is a sapling tree gen add-on. You can just add it in the preferences in Blender. It comes with Blender. It's pretty easy to add, and it's very useful. You can procedurally generate basically any kind of tree if you know how to use it. I textured the tree, I added the leaves, and here's the buildings. Now, these buildings aren't going to show up in shot, but I added them anyway. And the reason to that is to add accurate lighting details, because there has to be shadow, right? Where the sun is coming from, where everything's bouncing off, there's going to be a hint of some buildings in the background. You don't want it to be an open space. You want it to be a closed environment. It's a city, and it will just make things look more off if there's no buildings in the hidden background to add to that lighting. So that's why I added the buildings. That I spent like 2 minutes on the buildings, right? Super low effort, just to have the shape, right? So it can improve the lighting. Anyway, now I'm adding some point lights, and that is to kind of show what it would look like when I add the lights. Anyway, that is pretty much the whole scene. On top of animating, which I didn't record because my laptop kept crashing every second when I was trying to animate, and it was painful. That took me like 2-3 days to fucking finish. Like literally I would click something and then it would just have an aneurysm, and then I'd be like, oh, okay, well, time to do something else while I wait for this for 5 minutes, and then I come back and it's better, and then I click something else, it has an aneurysm again, just shit like that. Just wastes my time and I hate it. If I was doing this on an older school laptop, I would have died of old age already, because my school laptop is even worse than this gaming laptop. I really need a PC. It's gonna make this stuff so much easier. Let me know if the narration is better in time-lapse videos. I don't know if it's annoying or if it's helpful or interesting. I doubt many people, if anyone, is watching this end scene. A lot of people probably clicked off at like the 3-minute mark, but if you are watching this, please at least one person tell me yes or no, because I really want to know if I should just do like a podcast kind of narration over the time lapses to explain it. Also, I'm not sure if you can tell, but I'm pretty dead at the moment. I had an 11-hour shift at work today. I'm in so much sleep dead at the moment. I'm recording this at 10:40 at the moment, and I'm probably gonna sleep around 11:30, 12, and then I have to get up at 5:30 for work tomorrow, so I'm just gonna be even more sleep dead. But I mean, hey, I'm just getting this video done. So narration, I hope it's calming, I guess. I don't know. I hope it puts you to sleep. But yeah. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you when I post again.